you an alternative identity card. And so if you want to travel, like I'm traveling now, and you want to return to your country, you'll have to return on a tourist visa, for example. And so this area that we live in is considered to be under the control of the Jerusalem municipality. But then the Jerusalem municipality does not provide any services. They do not collect the garbage, they do not fix the electricity, they do not maintain the infrastructure. So for example, in the winter, when there is a lot of rain, the sewers flood to the main street. These areas should be under the control of the Israelis, but this control is not practiced, and so this area has become a hub for drug abuse, for robbery, where thieves, they come and hide, because the Israelis are not going to come and prosecute them, and because they don't allow the Palestinian Authority to control the area. The area is also a hub for prostitution, for example. And so the situation in this area is very horrible, but people don't have any choice but to live in this area so that they don't have to return as tourists. Now, another example of how this occupation, it makes our daily life very hard, is that because my father, he has a Jerusalem ID and he licensed his car with the Israelis, then he is not allowed to have any passenger in his car with him that holds a West Bank ID, including my mother and my sister, for example. And so, if ever he is caught driving them around, he will be jailed for a period between 4 to 6 weeks. He will be fined a little bit more than $1,500, and his car will be taken away from him for 3 months. And so, these are just a few examples that make our life harder. For example, I work in Jerusalem, like I told you in the introduction, and every day I have to cross the checkpoint to get to my workplace. But and the aerial distance between my house and my workplace is 14 kilometers. So it should normally take me between 20 to 25 minutes to get into my workplace. But in the best cases, it takes me 1 hour, because Khalati checkpoint, in its current status, with its current procedures, in the best cases, I will only have to deal with a road soldier, not someone who humiliates me, for example, or treats me like, I'm sorry for the word, like an animal. And in the best cases, it takes 25 minutes, Khalati checkpoint, by itself. And so, the best cases for me is that I get to work within an hour. And it could take up to 2 hours or 2.5 hours in the worst cases, just to cross 14 kilometers. Now, Katie, do we still have time to share one last story? Yes. Okay. Another restriction on our life in these kinds of civil rights that we take for granted, because they don't really cost much. Like, I can't marry anyone from outside of Jerusalem itself. I cannot marry a Palestinian living in present-day Israel. I cannot dream of meeting a Palestinian living in Gaza. Not only marry someone from there, meeting someone from there. I have met a Palestinian in October 2010 in Lebanon. Miraculously, I got a visa to go to Lebanon, and I went to Lebanon. And I've met this Palestinian there from a village close to Nazareth called Safuria. And this guy, he is 2 years older than me. And I lived the most beautiful love story of my life for 7 days. He really is, everything that I would like to have in my future husband. He is kind, he is supportive, he is funny. He was a great friend. But then, he was a Palestinian refugee that fell, and he felt it doesn't make sense that I ask Israel to let me come into the West Bank. I asked Israel for permission to come and live in the West Bank, when he can't return to Safuria, his original village, and he needs to ask permission from the regime that ethnically cleansed his grandfather in order to live with me. And so every time we see each other, I saw him twice after that, we say, okay, if it ever works out, maybe when we're 70, or maybe if we are lucky, it's before that, we'll get married. But otherwise, it's not going to work out. Because I can't go to Lebanon, he can't apply for me to live with him because he doesn't have citizenship there. And he can't return to Palestine. And it is unthinkable for us as Palestinians to go and live, for example, in Jordan or any other place. Why should we live outside our land in order to be together? And so with these experiences and the Palestinian Youth Together for Change project, before that I always said that it is economic rights and social rights, like right to work, right to education, right to access to health care, all of these kinds of rights that when you have them, you enjoy, like you lead a life with dignity. But these civil rights of like the right to freedom of movement, the right to marriage and establishment of families, the right to self-determination, that the majority of the world, they take them for granted. They are equally important to lead a life with dignity. Because I don't think any of you would think about if you want to marry a person who is not living in your state, or that if you want to leave here from Iowa and go to California, you don't really have to plan it. You just put your your things in the bag and you just drive, or you take the airplane, or I don't know how you go there. But we as Palestinians, we have to think of every single detail in order to practice the most minimum of these rights. And so that is what the occupation is doing to us. And yes, one last thing, ladies, I'm sorry, but this occupation has put us in separate areas and has, for example, fragmented the West Bank itself, where I live, using checkpoints, using the apartheid wall, using many other tools, so that they create different priorities for us. Palestinians living in present-day Israel have different priorities from Palestinians living in the West Bank, which of course differ from Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip. I can also tell you that these priorities differ within the West Bank themselves. I don't know if this applies to Marie and Aya, but for example, inside the West Bank itself, where people have different priorities and different aspirations. And all of these practices, they have compromised our how we think of ourselves, about our national priorities, and therefore they have compromised our discourse as a people, simply because we are not able to be together. A very basic right. And I've always said that this occupation will always need to target our national identity as a Palestinian people, because when the state of Israel was established, European Jews, and before that, they really didn't have much in common to build a healthy and coherent society. The only thing they had in common was their religion, a common culture, a common history, even a common cuisine to bring them together as a people. And if you now take a closer look at the way they treat each other inside their society is stratified. Like the most privileged citizens are those who are European Jews. And then it comes to Arab Jews, and then African Jews. The discrimination and the racism against African Jews living in present-day Israel is unimaginable. And then you have these Arabs who are not worth much to them, even though they are the indigenous population there. They do not have the constituencies of a healthy society. And so they will always need to target our national identity and our right to self-determination in order for them not to disintegrate a society. I can tell you for a matter of fact, if they do not have a battle with anyone, any outsider, they will disintegrate from the inside. Because they are not a healthy society in the way that they perceive each other and treat each other. And so, yes, I promise, one last thing. Shimon Peres, he was the Prime Minister of Israel, and he was also the President of Israel. once said that we have beaten the Palestinians on all levels. The political level, the military level, the economic level, the diplomatic level, every single level that you can imagine. But we are facing one very small problem there, is that the Palestinians are refusing to admit that they were defeated. And so, anything less than we as Palestinians deserve, anything less than our basic human rights, we still have the power to say no to it. And we will continue to say no until our basic rights are met. So we have survived for 67 years and we can survive for another, forever. They're not going to annihilate us, and we certainly do not want to annihilate them. It is not in our nature as Palestinians to do so. We as Palestinians, 100 years ago, there were all over Palestine, there were Muslims, Christians, and Jews, and there was no discrimination based on religion. Palestinians have lived together in harmony regardless of their religion. And so anything that is less than we deserve, we will say no to it until our most basic rights are met. Other than that, we're fine staying the way we are, and we will continue to build our national identity as a people. We will rebuild this national identity that will keep us together as a people until, like I said, until our most basic rights are met.
So my name is Aya, as I introduced myself, and I came from Gaza. I was born in the era of the Oslo peace process, when Yasser Arafat, the chairman of the PA, was shaking hands with Shimon Peres in Washington, and the whole world is going positive about Palestinian state and the Israeli state and the resolution of this conflict. So I was born in that era, and I used to go to school and to hear to our anthem and to see our flag, and that we have a president, we have a flag, we have an airport, we have an anthem, as I said, and everything which is a state. But in reality, it was all a kingdom of facade and illusion that we have been living in now for 23 years of this, what is called peace process, and which is still going on within the international community, that look, we have the Palestinians and the Israelis and they are negotiating and everything is okay and we will reach peace soon. Now, how can you talk about a country or a state while, for example, when I live in Gaza, I cannot move to the West Bank. I didn't have the chance to see any place in the West Bank during my childhood. I don't know how Jerusalem looked like. I don't know any other place other than Gaza within historic Palestine look like. I don't have the freedom to choose a man from the West Bank. I don't have the freedom to choose a man from, including, of course, Jerusalem, and I don't have the freedom to choose a man from 48. And recently, since the siege has been imposed on Gaza since 2006, also, I'm not allowed to choose a man from any place in the world simply because he cannot come in. Simply because Gaza has been under a blockade and no one can get out, no one can get in. And it's a miracle that I managed to come here for only 18 days. I have to return back to Gaza before the 19th of this month. My permit ends. I have a permit. I wouldn't have got this permit if I had applied to it personally. It was an American organization, AFSC, that applied for a permit for me. And they won't tell me beforehand that yes, you got a permit. No, they would give me until the last moment, telling me, yeah, everything is in process, we don't know, it's security checks. So until the last moment. And still, I'm lucky, because as I'm talking to you right now, I know that there are people who are dying in Gaza simply because they cannot get permits to leave and get their treatment. Simply because there is no electricity. We get electricity for 6 hours a day. So how can hospitals function? So, as you can see, you don't have a state. And since 2006 again, Gaza Strip has been under the siege. Now Gaza has been depicted in the media as a place which is a dystopian place, which is true, was a destroyed place, which is true. But now, when I remember this place where I used to live, and when I look at the pictures which were taken while I was a child, I see a completely different place. For example, where I live, it is a place known for the palm trees. It is a place which is known for lots of olive trees. Gaza City and the Gaza Strip is a coastal city. So you can imagine that we used to fish and to export this fish outside. Now, or since the siege has been imposed, we are not allowed to export anything. Gaza also has been, we used to export strawberries, even to the UK. We used to export cherry tomatoes. My grandparents actually used to grow flowers, to plant flowers and export them outside. Now they cannot, so they are planting now peppers. So when I look at Gaza, I see it as a beautiful girl, as a beautiful woman, but at the same time, it has been forced to be an ugly woman. Year by year, you are no longer able to recognize the place which you have been raised in. In 2009, Israel launched an attack on Gaza, which continued for 21 days, continuing with continuous bombing, killing more than 1,500 people, injuring many, causing many with disabilities, destroying many houses, factories, hospitals, schools, etc., you name it. And the international community did nothing. Simply because Israel always repeats this propaganda of protecting its citizens. But I don't want to compare, but look how many Israeli civilians were killed. Now, in 2012, also Israel came again and launched another attack. Okay, I said this is the last time, of course. They are not gonna make it for the third time. And I was naive. They came again last summer, and it was the most aggressive attack. It continued for 51 days, day and night, with no electricity. I couldn't even charge my mobile so that I can check on my friend who was forced to leave her house and go to stay at a UN school. So I couldn't try to call her. So not only that I felt that I have been left alone under this continuous bombing and shelling, it's only that even I cannot call my friend to see if she is alive or if she is dead or where is she now. This was psychologically very painful, and it also has been returning to back in 2009. I graduated in 2009, and as the first class for the department, for the English department, I got a scholarship to go and continue my studies for 1 year in the UK. So when I left Gaza, it was the first time for me. I was 24. It was the first time for me to leave Gaza. And though I used to speak and even to quote a mainstream human rights organization, B'Tselem, an Israeli human rights organization, it used to say that Gaza is the largest open-air prison on earth. This was back before 2010, before the 3 latest attacks. I wonder now what this organization would say about Gaza. So I used to quote it again many times when I talk to friends outside Gaza, but I have never realized what does it mean to live in a prison, really? Until I left Gaza and I started to look and to see actually that there is a horizon, because now Gaza is very overpopulated. You can rarely see plants and green areas. It has become a forest of cement, and with these old destructions, now it is a forest of destroyed cement everywhere. So I realized that when you live in such a place, in a closed place, actually your imagination is also closed. That you don't see a space in front of your eyes. And when I started looking in front of me, and then the car will just go on and on and on, and no one stopped it. So I realized that yes, I was living in a terrible prison actually, and I was asking myself, what is my crime? What is the crime of 1.8 million Gazans who are living in miserable conditions to live in such conditions while we are in the 21st century? Now, during the Easter, when I went to the UK and I saw it's a completely different world, I felt as if I has been really in a different world. During the Easter, my colleagues in the course Global Politics, they organized for a trip to go to the West Bank and present-day Israel. And I thought maybe I also could join, since I have a student visa. They would know that I will return to the UK, so I won't break any laws. I won't do any terrorist attack. So I applied, and of course they even didn't want to accept my application. They said, of course you are coming from Gaza, no way that you would go with the group. So the whole group went to the West Bank and to present-day Israel, and I couldn't join them. And at that moment I realized that I told myself, look, I dream for anything in the world, to visit any place in this planet except what you consider your homeland. And I kind of lost hope that I would see Palestine in my lifetime. Now, in 2014, this was 2010. In 2014, of course, after I returned back to Gaza and I worked there, there was this project with the AFSC, Palestinian Youth Together for Change. I applied for it. And in June 2014, there was our national meeting, which is supposed to be in the West Bank. So we are 7 from Gaza. AFSC applied for permits for all of us to the Israelis. It took us very long time, but then at the end they approved only 2 permits. And I was among these 2. So I won't talk about how I felt and how I didn't believe it. I went to the West Bank, and I wanted to write about my feelings, about the laughter, about the joy that I experienced in the West Bank, about my perception of Jerusalem, Haifa, which is my dream to see Haifa. But then, that was in June 2014. But then in July 2014, I was also supposed to go and attend a summer school in Geneva in July. And also AFSC applied for a permit for me 3 times, and they didn't approve it. This was in July. I think they didn't approve it because they wanted me to experience with my family the latest attack. So at the beginning of the summer school, I was receiving emails that all people from all over the world, 30 students are arriving to Geneva to spend 3 weeks enjoying Switzerland and the UN and going there and here and there. And I was under the bombing. That was the first day that Israel launched its attack. Now, regarding my experience with the permit, when I was told that you got the permit, I was 26 last summer, and I haven't seen a soldier, an Israeli soldier, in all my life. It's not like Marie or Tamara. They confront with the Israeli soldiers almost every day. They cannot even, with all what they face, with all the discriminations which they are subjected to, they cannot see this land. For someone from Gaza, he or she cannot dream of seeing this place, and even of seeing an Israeli soldier. So now I have been always thinking that when you are isolated in this prison which is called Gaza and you don't even see the Israelis, actually this dehumanizes them. Because you cannot see them as human beings. You only see their oppression and as something controlled from very far away. So I wanted to see an Israeli soldier and to look at her or him closely. So I went to a checkpoint between Gaza and present-day Israel in the north of the Gaza Strip. And as soon as I arrived to the latest point of the prison, there was five very tall and big metal doors as part of the wall, and I didn't know what to do, so I stood there until there was a green light in the second door. So I rushed to that door and I entered. And again, when I entered, I didn't see anyone. So I felt that I'm in a very huge I'm in a very huge place where there are only cameras and these doors which are these doors with the green lights or red lights, but I couldn't see any person. So I felt really as if I am living in a science fiction movie. Everything is controlled from somewhere which I don't know. Now, door after door, check after check, peeping machine after another, until I reached to one which was very huge, and then I had to stand like this and to raise my hands like this. Now I didn't know what to do. This is my first time that I
put her
get
hands
out.
up
This
as
is
if
my first time when I went through
as
Egypt.
if showing Sonia.
Sorry?
Oh, no, go ahead, continue.
So there was a microphone while I was standing like this. It was so confusing. So I was standing like this, and there was this here microphone, and someone speaks in Hebrew. I don't understand Hebrew, and sometimes in broken Arabic. So I tried. Then I started looking here and there, and from above there was a glass window, and there was an Israeli soldier who is pointing his gun like this from behind the glass. And the three Israelis were sitting on their computers and controlling everything from behind this glass. So I get out from this machine and I entered something like animal pens. And again, I waited till it is a green line. green light. So some people went in that direction, or actually most people went in this direction. Each one of us in an animal pen. So you are alone in this place. So for me, I waited, but the green light didn't come from here. It came from this direction. So I looked at them. No one responded. They didn't even look at me. So I said, okay. I entered from this direction, from one animal pen to another. Then I was directed to a small room with one chair, and I sat there for 25 minutes. Then the door opened also with the green light, and there was sitting behind the glass window an Israeli soldier. So I kept looking at her and looking at her eyes, but she wasn't looking at me. She asked me to take off my clothes. And I said, why? She said, just like that. So I did, and she asked me to put them in a machine and then to dress up again. And this was the experience at Erez checkpoint. Even behind you, it wasn't land like this when I was what I was standing on. It was with this, I don't know what to say it.
لما يكون في عندك حديد هيك أسياج حديد. هذا
أنا مش فاهمة كيف
ستيكس يعني إنه الأرض مش أرض زي هيك بطون، إنه في عندك حديد وإنه في إشي تحت تقدري تشوفي إيش في تحت.
No, the ground was made from metal bars that were like separated from one another. They had gaps in them.
Yeah. So you are standing on these metal bars and you are looking down. What is there? I don't know what is under this surface, but it seems that there were also rooms and I don't know what. So this was the experience, my first experience with an with Israeli soldiers, and you can see how they keep not only oppressing you but also humiliating you. So I feel that we have a responsibility to rehumanize them. Now, what can we do? I got many calls from international friends while I was under the attacks that they are crying, that they are so sorry for what is happening for us. But then, okay, emotions are really great, but then they won't prevent a bombing from killing my mother, for example. They won't let my brother, who is 12 years old, live a normal life. And other children, of course. So, I think that we have to do actions. That we have to channel our emotions into actions. And I'm so happy that I'm seeing all these posters talking about boycott. And reading that the boycott tool as a non-violent tool, actually it worked through history, and that it can also be applied within the Palestinian context, and it also empowers me. I joined the BDS activities back in 2009, and the first reason and the foremost reason which made me join this movement and calling for on the international community to boycott Israel and to impose sanctions on Israel is because I lived a very terrible war back then, and I was feeling completely powerless. Just waiting to die, and to die in silence. And this is not me. I have to resist. I cannot carry a gun and go and kill Israelis simply because I am isolated. I am in this siege and this prison, and Israel controls me from some place which even I cannot see them, with very high technology. Also, Israel has the fourth strongest army in the world. So even if I will carry a gun, as if I am throwing myself in hell and achieving nothing. So I decided that I would join the BDS and I would dedicate much of my time and effort to make a difference within this movement. Now, this morning we went to a class in the University of Nebraska, and the teacher there, he is an Israeli who invited us to his class. Now he wanted us, he told us in front of his students, just speak about human stories. We don't want you to talk about politics. Don't tell us politics. How can we speak about our life without speaking politics? How can we speak about those people who are now don't have shelters in Gaza, not because they are poor, not because of a natural disaster that happened in Gaza, but because of the Israeli weapons? And you are telling me to tell a human story? Only a human story? How can it be happen? Also, yesterday we had an interview. So this tells you something about the state which you are living in, about America. This Israeli teacher, he didn't expect that the three of us would speak about BDS in his class at all. I won't ever forget the expressions on his face, and he tried to stop us, trying to direct us to speak something different, but we can't. We don't have another narrative. This is our narrative. Also, yesterday we had an interview, me and Tamara, with a radio, with Fox News in Omaha. And the interviewer, he was telling me, but women are oppressed in Saudi Arabia. Women do not drive according to Islam. And I was telling him that look, women are oppressed everywhere. Even here in the United States of America, women face oppression. And we have all to fight to end this oppression. But when it comes to Palestine, women are facing double oppression. It is, yes, the social oppression, which I cannot deny, but also the political oppression, which is much more stronger. And for example, as a woman, if I am oppressed, socially oppressed in Gaza, for example, at least if I have the freedom to move, I would move. But then if I don't have the freedom even to move, and also, it's not only women who are oppressed in Palestine. Men are also oppressed. Children are also oppressed. All people are also oppressed. So, at the end, what did he say? And this again tells you something about America. He said that, of course, and before he said that you are fanatics and etc. etc. So, at the end, he said, either that he thinks either that we as Palestinians blow the Israelis up, or that we leave the land. And I couldn't believe that you are telling me it's either or. It's again the George Bush doctrine. It's which is you are either with us or with the terrorists. No, actually we have another alternative, which is a state for all its citizens. Whether you are a Jew, whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim, you want. What do you think of the United States of America being only for Christians? Would that work in our time? So the same for Israel. Why Israel has to be a state which is only for Jews and exclusively for Jews? If I was born to a Jewish mother, my life would have been completely different. I wish I was. So this is why we call for boycotting Israel, not because we hate Israelis as they try to spread this propaganda, but because we hate the Israeli system of oppression, which we aim to end. Now, maybe, I'm not sure if Marie or Tamara would like to talk more about the BDS, because I feel a little bit tired. Yeah?
BDS is boycott, live fast,
I'd like to share
and
another
sanction.
thought. It's not related a lot to the BDS. I think that Aya has given the BDS its fair share with this discussion. But I'd like to also share that back in the 1960s and 1970s, when many workers' movements and many workers' syndicates were demanding workers' rights, there was a point in history when these workers didn't feel that their leadership represented them anymore, and that they didn't represent their interests to the fullest extent. Instead, they were just negotiating with the different regimes in their countries and coming up with deals that, like, they could have come up with better deals for the sake of the workers. And so, slowly but steadily, these workers, they were able to create alternative leaderships that better represented them. Now, during this latest aggression on Gaza, I saw the people of many different countries whose governments, if not complicit with Israel in their oppression of us as Palestinians, they were at least complacent. I saw the people of many of these countries taking to the streets, demanding the end of this aggression on Gaza. And I believe that these same people have the power to impact their foreign policy. They have the power to create alternative leaderships that better represent the commitment of these people to human rights. The belief of these people that human rights belong to everyone and not to those who have the power to access them, and that they belong equally to every human being in the world. I say this because these people have stood at the right side of history 9 months ago, when the most populated area in the world was being bombed continuously. I cannot even imagine 1.8 million people living in 360 square kilometers. That's unbelievable. And it was bombed continuously for 51 days. And then, because of these demonstrations, these governments, they pledged $5.4 billion that have still not arrived, and there are still 10,000 Palestinians. They're living in UN shelters, in UN schools, and in buildings that are destroyed. So even the reconstruction process has not begun. But still, even though this is very important, the reconstruction process as for people to live with the minimum dignity, it is not enough, because it deals with the symptoms of the occupation and does not deal with its root causes. It does not deal with the discrimination and with the racism. It does not deal with the fact that the 700,000 Palestinians who left 67 years ago are now a little bit more than 6 million. All of this does not deal with these root causes of what is going on in Palestine at the moment. And so I believe in the power that we have in changing this. I believe that if we continue to spread the word, like my colleagues and I, we can keep doing this, but you can also do this with your friends, within your networks, with your families, and it can take a snowball effect. It starts rolling, it's small, but it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, because eventually these governments, they derive their legitimacy from us, from our votes. And eventually it is up to us to decide how this world moves and what happens. And so if each of us we believe in the power of the other, then maybe in the near or in the far future, we would be living in a better world. Palestinians would be living in a better world, enjoying at least their minimum rights.
Yeah, but just one last message that I would like to leave you with is that not only I have been always talking about the BDS, but believe me, even with our work in the long term for achieving the objectives of the BDS, now we have really to work on ending this siege. This siege is really killing. It's a criminal siege. It's illegal according to UN reports. So this is for me is the foremost and important now. As I told you, I want my family, I want my mother to book a ticket for all of my family to go out and visit, for example, my brother or my uncle. And this is even if I will tell my family this, they would laugh at me because this is a luxury. To think that you would travel, no, this is a luxury. We only travel if we are dying to get a treatment, and even you are lucky if you get out. So for now, for me, this siege has to be ended permanently, completely.
But do you think that this is part of the Israeli strategy to keep us each time hoping for something less? Lifting the siege,
Yeah.
It is part of ending the occupation of Palestine. It is in line with the
Absolutely. But even before 2006, before the siege was imposed, Gaza has been under occupation. So now it's not only occupation. It's not only that it is occupied, but it is also under illegal siege. So at least we return to the stage where we are occupied. At least that we have the basics. The basics, because the basics of our human needs.
I have a question for you. Because I know you met with U.S. Congressperson yesterday or this morning.
I did.
And that is a challenge for us to move on siege or to move on U.S. military aid. Can you tell us a little bit how your conversation with the congressperson went?
Well, we all have a policy, or we all know what is the U.S. foreign policy about Israel. So if you want to be a congressman, or you have to be in the process of making decision, you have to be pro-Israel. Let's be honest. So, yeah, he said, yeah, we are recognizing the Palestinians, we are recognizing the suffering, but no, I support Israel to exist. So I asked him, excuse me, are you supporting Jews to live safely, or you are supporting a colonial state? Because there is a difference. So what I want to say is that we are calling to boycott HP. The experience of Aya is sponsored by HP. They are producing electronical devices that control the checkpoints, the settlements, the Navy, the Army, all of this. So we want you to boycott HP. We have 3 objectives that are human basic rights. So our objectives of the BDS is first to end the occupation on Gaza Strip and on the West Bank. First, the second objective is to end the apartheid laws against the Palestinians inside the state of Israel, present Israel, of course. And 3, we have to implement our right of return for the refugees. I want for my nation to forget that there's a term called refugee camp. I want this term to be in the past. So if anyone have a question or something, they wanna like something they didn't understand.
We encourage everyone to please sign up if you haven't.
And we have the embroidery here.
Yes. And you can follow the women throughout the rest of their U.S. speaking tour over the next week. They're going to be in D.C. tomorrow, meeting with, doing congressional briefings, meeting with multiple congressmen, and then they'll be in New York, meeting with different committees of the UN, and it'll be the National Women's Convention, which is one of the largest conventions in New York at this time, which will be really exciting to lift these women's amazing voices during such a critical time.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, guys.
I have no questions from my viewers, so. I'm going to come over here and give you a closer look at these pieces.
You have this in $20. These are $30. These are this is $40. These are $35. You have bookmarks $6. We have also key holders in $4 if you're interested. This is for the tea. The glasses and and we have pillows here, different stuff. If you we have the Palestinian map. If you want to see it, really great map. So anything you want, anything you have in mind, you can use it. Let me check. $120.
It's caught up with this one.
Yes.
There we go. And one dropped.
Oops. Oh, here.
This is very, very beautiful work. So like a coaster.
We have like belts. You can put it on a black dress or something. It's very cute. Oh, excuse me. These special bags, they are made of very old fabric. Like these are like 30 years old, 40 years old, but these are like newly created. But these are taken from thobes, dresses, Palestinian dresses, and made out of them bags.
Well, this is one of those bags. It's a zipper.
These and these kind. You see, the fabric is different from these.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are really nice.
I wonder if they like color. Yeah, I think they like color.
Have another thing.
This is Jerusalem on it.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Unfortunately, I'm not rich enough to buy any of these, but they're just so beautiful.
Thank you.
How much would this?
So I think that will do it for this broadcast today. I'm going to go ahead and shut my stream down. Again, for those who are wondering why I was not showing their faces, I did it for their protection because they're doing this at great risk for their own safety. Please check out my donation links at the bottom below the video view window. And if you're watching on another channel, the Restream channel, you can go to www.gofundme.com/OccupierKaylin. That's KAYLYNN. Again, www.gofundme.com/OccupierKaylin. Or if you cannot access that, you can go to PayPal, www.paypal.com, and in the Send Money To line, enter the email address strainSOP@AOL.com. Again, www.paypal.com, and in the Send Money To line, enter the email address strainSOP@AOL.com. This will help me cover the cost of my live streaming and broadcasting, equipment maintenance, extra batteries, eating my big data plan, which I do. Although this time I'm on good solid Wi-Fi, but I'm not always able to get good solid Wi-Fi like this. So please kick me a little something if you can, and if not, spread those links around and spread my channel around, and do support all the streamers in any way you can. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the stream.